He said, Israel attacked first. That attack was very, very powerful. I was very much in charge of that. He added, when Israel attacked Iran first, that was a great day for Israel because that attack did more damage than the rest of them put together. He continued, surely this confession will be used as one of the clear reasons for America's participation in this aggressive act in any court. As I mentioned to you before, we are seriously pursuing the documentation of the military aggression by the Zionist regime and the US. And similarly, we are investigating all possibilities that exist internationally for seeking justice and filing a lawsuit against the yes. In a startling public address, President Donald Trump has asserted that the joint strikes by Israel on Iran, widely known to have taken place during June 2025, were led, at least in part, by US direction. Those remarks mark a significant departure from earlier US public denials of involvement and have already sparked calls by Tehran that Washington be held accountable. Donald Trump is currently serving as the President of the United States. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in office and was actively involved in the planning of the strikes. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Bagay responded publicly to Trump's statement, calling it an unambiguous acknowledgement of US responsibility for a wrongful act and a serious breach of international law. Ireland's nuclear watchdog status and Iran's retaliatory missile launches have also entered the public domain. The broader war between Israel and Iran has evolved into direct strikes rather than purely proxy engagements, and US forces are confirmed to have bombed Iranian nuclear sites on June 22, 2025. The early months of 2025 saw heightened tensions between Israel and Iran over Tehran's nuclear program and missile infrastructure. Intelligence and diplomatic channels indicated that Israel regarded Iran as nearing a nuclear weapons threshold. Meanwhile, the United States, under President Trump, resumed a high-pressure campaign on Iran while simultaneously engaging in new nuclear talks. Then, on 13th of June 2025, Israel launched a surprise airstrike deep into Iranian territory. The attack targeted nuclear sites, missile production facilities, senior military personnel and scientists. Iran called it a declaration of war. In the days that followed, the US joined the conflict, striking at Iran's Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan nuclear facilities on the 22nd of June. President Trump's statement shifts the official US posture on the conflict. His words, "I was very much in charge," may challenge previous US denials of direct involvement in the initial Israeli strike. Iran's government seized on the statement as proof of US participation from the outset. From Tehran's vantage, this admission strengthens its case in international forums. As Bagay said, the United States must be held accountable for this flagrant violation and atrocious wrong. Indeed, Iran announced it is documenting what it calls military aggression by the Zionist regime and the US, and exploring all possibilities internationally for seeking justice and filing a lawsuit. On the American side, the admission may complicate Washington's diplomatic position and expose it to legal or normative contestation over international law obligations. Analysts have framed the joint Israeli-US campaign as a strategic blunder for the US, which undermines the non-proliferation regime and incision of long-term deterrence. Diplomatic negotiations between the US and Iran were underway in Oman in early June 2025, while Israel privately weighed direct action. On 12th or 13th June, Israel initiated airstrikes inside Iran, its first widely acknowledged direct attack, citing Iran's nuclear progress as justification. Iran retaliated with missile and drone strikes against Israeli territory and diaspora communities. On 21st to 22nd June, US forces joined in striking Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Washington initially denied involvement, but Trump's recent remarks contradict that public posture. A ceasefire between Iran and Israel began to take effect around 24th June, although tensions remain high. President Trump's words raise questions about the US's adherence to the Charter of the United Nations, particularly the prohibition on acts of aggression absent Security Council authorization or self-defense. Iran has already argued that the strikes constituted a crime of aggression. Strategically, the joint Israeli-US operation achieved significant damage to Iran's underground enrichment and missile infrastructure. But according to experts, it did not eliminate Tehran's nuclear program entirely. One commentator warns that Iran could reconstitute a weapons-capable path within months. The war also signals a transformation in Middle East conflict dynamics. Iran and Israel are now fighting more directly rather than primarily via proxies, forcing US forces to shift from advisory roles to overt engagement. For Israel, the strike sought to impose a strategic setback on Iran before its nuclear capability reached a threshold. Netanyahu reportedly took the decision months earlier and convinced Trump to join the operation. For the US, participation represents a major shift, becoming publicly co-belligerent rather than a behind-the-scenes partner. That may expand Washington's exposure to retaliation from Iran or its proxies and alter the broader regional equation, including Gulf states, Lebanon, and Yemen. For Iran, the opportunity to expose US involvement through Trump's own words provides a diplomatic advantage in legal, political, and moral terms. Tehran may pursue UN mechanisms, international courts, or bilateral claims, though real-world enforcement remains challenging. Internationally, the episode raises the stakes for nuclear non-proliferation. If a state can strike nuclear facilities of another without triggering nuclear escalation, what precedent is created? Observers warn that the credibility of the non-proliferation regime may be undercut. President Trump's declaration that he was very much in charge of the first attack changes the narrative of the June 2025 Israel-Iran war. It repositions the United States from the sidelines into direct responsibility. Iran is already treating the statement as evidence for legal action. Meanwhile, Israel's strategic calculus remains centered on delaying Tehran's nuclear breakout. The result is a more openly militarized and multi-actor conflict in the Middle East, with the United States now fully entangled. The legal, strategic, and diplomatic fallout is only beginning.